Good morning and welcome back to the Hammered Leatherworks studio. This video tutorial is going to show you how to use our Hammer Time large jewel pocket pouch kit, which looks like this when it's finished. Big enough to fit in your iPhone, some cash, some cards. Use it as a clutch or as a wallet. So this is made using our Hammer Time jewel pocket kit. When you open the box, inside you will find 4 die-cut leather pieces with the hardware attached, a needle and your choice of thread. Tools required to complete this project are a hammer, workboard, stitching chisels, you'll need a pair of scissors. Glue is an optional thing, it's not necessary, but it does make the project go a lot easier. So let's get started. So when you receive your pieces in your pack, you'll get written instructions as well as these video instructions, and each piece is numbered. So when it says you need piece 2 and 3, then you just need to find the pieces with number 2 and number 3 on them. So I'm just going to put pieces 1 and 4 aside. So pieces 2 and 3 create the center of our pouch. So this is what's going to bring the 2 pockets together and still allow them to expand. So 2 and 3, and you want to put the finished sides together. You want to go ahead and mark yourself a rectangle. The bigger the rectangle you make, the less the pouch can expand. So this is just I've literally just taken my stitching awl, found the center, and gone either side, same for up and down. So first step is to take a little bit of glue. I'm using Tiger Grip today. It's made by Helmars. It's really good because it doesn't create a permanent bond when it's applied to only one surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glue and I'm going to put a small dot on the back of this rectangle. Just a little bit. The glue is just to tack the pieces together while we make the holes to do the stitching. Line that up on the finished side together of piece number 2. There we go. Smooth it out. It's really important that you line up the edges of your pieces as you go, because you can't change that later. There we go. So now we're going to start making our holes. This is a 4-prong stitching awl coming to the online store soon. So we're going to line up on our lines, making sure that we go all the way through both layers of leather. Okay, now we're going to stitch these 2 pieces together. I'm going to sew this natural kit together with green today. So in our stitching video, if you haven't seen it yet, do hit pause on this one and head and have a look. It explains exactly how to stitch the leather to get the best results. There we go. So here we go. These are hand-dyed waxed Irish linen threads. They are fantastic. So I'm just going to measure my thread. There we go, all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and snip. Thread my needle. There we go. I'm going to hide my tail, my knot that I do at the end, in between the layers. So I'm going to start stitching coming up through the middle hole between the pieces, leaving myself a decent tail so it's easy to come back and tie the finishing knot. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to stitch all the way around and then stitch all the way back. There we go. We've gone all the way around and we are back where we started. To finish off, we're going to reinforce that stitch. So we're going to go through the back and to the side. Then I like to go up through the center again and to the other side. And the last stitch we take is through the center, through just one layer. So we come up between pieces of leather and we tie our finishing knot. So right over left, left over right, just like double knotting your shoelaces. There we go. Cut the tails about nice and short. Tuck them in, push them against the wax linen thread you've used to stitch it together and give it a tap with your hammer. For step 2, you're going to need piece number 4 and the 2 pieces you've just stitched together. What we're going to do is we're going to put a really thin layer of glue around the edges of piece number 3. When I say thin, I mean really minimal. Your glue is your pins. It is only to hold the piece together until you can get the stitches into it. Just to line up, keep your edges stuck together really. There we go. We're going to put suede side on suede side this time. Lining up our edges nice and carefully. I find it easier to pull piece 2 sort of fold it up and out of the way while I do this so I can see all the edges really clearly. Now we need to mark our stitching lines on piece 3. To do that, I've used a creaser which looks like this. You don't need to do this though if you don't have one of these tools. What you can do is just grab a pencil and a straight edge or even a ruler and just mark the same distance in all the way around. You have no problem using a pencil because you're going to stitch over it, so you're not going to see it. So about 1/8 of an inch in, or about 3 mil is where you want to be. So now we get to start banging again. So what we're going to do, it's really important that when you're putting the holes in these pocket pieces, that you start from the corner. It means your holes are going to be evenly spaced all the way to the top. And if you do end up with a short or long stitch, it's going to end up in the center. So it's going to be, you're not going to see it. So here we go. I'm using a 6-prong chisel for this just because it moves a lot faster. But a 4-prong chisel will do just fine. Just following my line. Now when you get to the top, you want to go 1 hole over where you started. Well, where the start of the pocket is, sorry. So you want to go 1 hole over. Now onto the sewing. Take your colour choice of thread and go around the edges of your project, measuring. Multiply that by 4. And trim. Thread your needle. Now this technique we use for starting, we use on all the kits that have seams like this. Where we're going to start is, we're going to come up the 3rd hole down from between the layers. So this needle is going to go between the 2 pieces and come up that 3rd hole down. There we go, leaving a tail. Starting like that allows you to reinforce the end and make the pocket stronger without putting your knot on the end of the seam. Now we're going to do exactly as we did before. We're going to stitch all the way around and all the way back again. And here we go, coming up through the last hole above this pocket. We're going to go back down and we're going to complete that stitch there. So now we have thread in every hole. We're going to do our reinforcing stitch. Just being careful not to splice any threads that are already in the hole. And then we're going to come up, see how I'm splitting the pouch? Push the needle down, not across, to come up between the layers. There we go. Now we're going to tie our finishing knot. So as we did before, I'm going left over right this time. Right over in the opposite way. We're going to trim, tuck. If your thread hangs out the top a little bit, just give it another trim. Cut it down to size. Now, just to finish the seam off, a little tap. There we go. Now you have attached the back pocket of your pouch. We're on the home stretch. One pocket left to go. So you've stitched pieces 2, 3 and 4 together. Now we're going to add the final piece of the puzzle, which is piece 1. So we're going to do the same as we did before with piece 3. We're going to do a really thin layer of glue around the edges, making sure the piece is the right way up. You want the hardware to be closest to the top. We're going to place that on top of piece 2, being careful to line up our edges, giving it a bit of a press, just wiping off any excess glue you might have. It's really important for these edges to be square now, because once you get the stitches in them, you can't change them. So now I've done as I've done before, and I've actually creased my marks. Once again, you can use a straight edge and a pencil or a ruler. Go the same distance in from the edge as you did for the back, which for me is 1/8 of an inch, and just draw a line because you're going to stitch over it. So this is where things get a little bit more interesting, because if you were to punch holes in that as it stands right now, you're going to go through all the layers. So you want to be careful here. Before you start putting any holes in it, check that the snaps on the pocket line up to make sure you've got the piece the right way up, because if you don't, you still have the opportunity to take it off and turn it around. So the key to getting these holes in is to actually bend back the second pocket that we just put together and work on the edge of your workboard, folding that back layer behind, like so. And then the same as we did before. That's not very straight. Hang on, I'm just going to make that a little, just straighten that out a little bit. There we go. We're going to start from the corners and work our way out. There we go. So we've punched our holes, but only through that one layer. Our back layer is untouched. So we're going to stitch this now. So we're going to measure our thread as we did in the previous step. There we go. Thread the needle. Once again, I like to start on the same side as I started the previous pocket, just so it all matches up. So 1, 2, 3, third hole down between the layers, leaving our tail. So now you want to fold that back pocket back while you do your stitching, and we're going to do just as we did before, all the way around and back again, to secure the pockets together using our saddle stitch. So you've finished stitching around that front pocket. You've brought your needle up through the hole as we did in the step before. Going to tie our knot, left over right, right over left, pulling them nice and firm, trim your threads, tuck them in. So I'm just tucking them back against the thread that's already in the hole. Tap the seam, and guess what? You're done. Shut your snaps. This is the first time these snaps have been used, so they're a little bit tough. You'll find that once you use them a couple of times, they loosen off. There we go. That is how to construct the large jewel pocket pouch. And you can also fit our small pouch inside. So if you want to be a little bit more organised, want to keep your cards and cash in something else, and then pop your phone in the back, there you go. I hope this construction video has helped you on your creative journey in leatherwork. See you again soon. Don't forget to shop online, hammeredleatherworks.com.au.